Welcome to FargoFX. This is subscriber builds 11. If you haven't seen the others, there will be a link at the end of this video to that playlist, so you can check them out. And also, if you are interested in contributing to FargoFX subscriber builds, the email is right up here. And you can just send me a few pictures of some of your work and include a little description, maybe a description of the work, a little bit about yourself. And also remember that builds could be really a variety of things. Most of what we've done has been blacksmithing related, metal work, maybe a little bit with woodwork, but I would definitely take a look at other DIY type projects as well. So with that, we'll jump right into it. First up, we have Jordan. He's a 14-year-old knife maker. He has just gotten into bladesmithing recently. He said he made this knife in one day. He used nothing but rebar and a $10 angle grinder from Harbor Freight and whetstone and some sandpaper. And I really want to say he did a great job keeping his expenses down while still making a very unique and beautiful knife with a lot of that hand-forged character. Jordan says that this channel has been an inspiration for him to get into blacksmithing. And actually, he bought the $15 Harbor Freight anvil that I reviewed about a year ago. But as you can see from this picture, he definitely didn't have the same luck with his as I had with mine. He only had it for about 2 months, so he's planning to return it, and he's hoping to either get the same one or the 55-pound anvil. So Jordan, thank you for sharing your work with us, and also thanks for sharing the picture of the broken anvil, because that's a good reminder that when you're working on a budget and you're buying some of these less expensive tools, and you're not necessarily certain of the quality or of the quality control at the factory, it's a good reminder to keep receipts. Well, Jordan, thanks again for sharing your work with us. I think you did a great job on this knife. Feel free to send in pictures of other projects that you're working on and keep us posted on how things are going. Next up, we have Ambrose from New South Wales, Australia. He is 13 years old, and he shared several pictures of some very interesting work that he's done. So these are mini knives or swords that he forged out of nails. He did this work entirely with hand tools and then polished in some areas with some 800 grit sandpaper. And he says he's made over 50 of these, and he's starting to sell them at some markets. This is actually a really neat idea for a couple of reasons. One, I think it really showcases your skills because it can be difficult to work at that scale. But also, I can see there being a market for this because it has that novelty value of being very much a recognizable object, a hand-forged knife or sword, but then on that miniature scale. So I think that's a really cool idea. And next, these are some butter knives that he's reshaped with files and then hardened and tempered them. And he definitely spent some time polishing and sharpening these. He says he went all the way up to 2,000 grit for the polish, and all of these are shaving sharp. And I really like this idea of getting a hold of some inexpensive knives and then using them for practice, using them to develop your skills. I think this is a great idea, from a cost-saving standpoint, as well as a way to make a very unique looking finished knife and a knife that kind of tells a story. So great work on this. I love the way you've kept the costs down by using inexpensive materials and using hand tools. And I really think you're doing great work here. So keep it up, and thank you very much for sharing this with us. So our third submission today comes from Freddie, who's about 13 years old, and he's a Swiss knife maker. And he says this was the third knife he's made. The steel for this was actually given to him, so it was kind of a random piece of stock. And to craft this, it looks like he used stock removal method. He said his tools were a belt grinder, an angle grinder, and a drill press. And I'm assuming that would have been used to drill the holes for pinning the scales on. He said the wood is cherry, treated with a wood oil. So great work on this knife, Freddie. I love the look of it. It has a very versatile look to it. That blade shape looks like it would make a great bushcraft knife or possibly a hunting knife. And looks like a very nice polished finish too. So all around great work on this, and thank you for sharing this with us. And then finally, I'm going to share one more image sent by a subscriber who didn't tell me his name, although in the email he goes by Squidosaurus. This is a mini machete that he made out of a nail. And he thought it might be interesting if I tried to upsize the design, made a similar machete, but made it out of rebar. And I'm not sure if he meant this as a submission to subscriber builds or not, but I really wanted to share it because I thought it was a really cool idea, and I think it was very well executed. And it looks like it would make a very good, sort of a multi-purpose machete and chopping tool. Kind of reminds me of a parang or maybe even a really stylized cleaver. But anyway, thanks for sharing this. I think it's really cool, and since you gave me permission, I might take you up on that, do a full-size version of this. So very, very cool. Thanks to everybody who submitted stuff. I know there's several more that I still haven't gotten to yet. So I would look for subscriber builds 12 to come out maybe about a week from today. So thanks again to everybody who submitted their work. Thanks to you who've been watching. I really appreciate your support. Feel free to comment and join the conversation below. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. And with that, we will sign off for today. And I'll just say, hey, whoever you are, whatever you're doing, have a wonderful time. We'll see you in the next video.